Welcome, ladies. Yes. So a little about me is I am a licensed professional counselor. I've been working in the corporate coaching space for over 20 years. And what I'm about to share with you today is pretty unique because this doesn't come from a book, okay? This comes literally from working with women like yourself for the last 2 decades and my personal healing journey as well. So these strategies are going to impact your life. I have no doubt about it. They've worked for hundreds of other women and they'll work for you today. My only ask for you is that you take action. That you take action on the ideas that resonate with you, okay? We have a short amount of time, so I'm going to try to give you as much as I can. Feel free to connect with me afterwards, of course. But I'm gonna share with you 4 principles that are going to help you ignite the power from within, okay? We've been talking a lot about today about business and sort of external things. I'm gonna take you on a journey internally, okay? So who's here? Who's ready to be an action taker? Yes, okay. So some of the challenges that you might face when you're trying to take action is that you're doing all the things for all of the people. Right? And that really leads to you feeling burnt out. And let me share with you how that shows up in your life. You forget to do things. You say you're going to do something, but you don't do it. And maybe at night you're just very overwhelmed, right? Having trouble figuring out, what do I need to do, right? So the other challenge that I see is that you are stuck in patterns that don't serve you anymore. This shows up in lack of boundaries, saying yes to when you should be saying no, keeping toxic people around, right? So those are personal patterns that really keep us from taking action. The third challenge that I see is you might feel emotionally chaotic. What I mean by this is, I don't know about you ladies, but no one taught me how to navigate my emotional health. Like, I didn't have role models that really taught me what it truly means to be emotionally stable. So a lot of you might be struggling to identify what are those needs. How do I communicate them? How do I ask for help, right? All these challenges really lead you to feel stuck, okay? They can really keep you from, reaching your dreams, maybe sabotaging some of the things that you desire. Speaking of desire, I have worked for 20 years working with women, and one of the things that's very common is that we want to impact the world, right? Women they change the game, right? You wouldn't be here at a Level Up conference if that wasn't your MO, right, as a woman. They want to impact the world, but you know what also they want? They want to come home and connect with the people they love. Because all the early mornings, the late nights, the struggle, overcoming fears means nothing if we can't connect with our loved ones. Would you guys agree? Mm-hmm. Right? Who's resonating with that? Yeah. Right? Yeah. So, and essentially what we want as women is we want to impact the world and go and change and impact people and economies, but we also want to live a fulfilled life, right? And I know for me, ladies, 6 years ago, I went on a walk that changed my life. I know I'm pretty dramatic, but it really did. It really did. It changed my life. I was on a walk and I was listening to an Audible book by Rachel Hollis, Girl Wash Your Face. I don't know if you guys are familiar with her, but I was going on my walk and I heard her say this: when you really want something, you will find a way. When you don't find something, you'll find an excuse. And you know when something hits you, like, whoa, she's talking to me, that's really how I felt in that moment. Now, I want to create a picture of where I was 6 years ago. I was probably in the best moment of my life. I had a corporate job, I had good money, we had built our dream home, my kids were growing up. Like, I was pretty good. On paper, things look really good. But when you have that internal calling for more, and it's not external, it's not like I wanted more money or more things, but it's like I didn't feel like I was living aligned to what my calling was. And maybe you too can relate to a time where you have settled. You're taking the familiar way, what's comfortable, right? Or maybe you're allowing some of these excuses, external excuses, no time, no energy, no support. Or maybe you're like me, who was really allowing her fear to take control of the game, right? And so in that moment, I knew I had to make a decision, and I had to make a decision of like, how do I want to show up? Who do I want to become in this next season of my life? Or is this it? Like, it's time to show up. And I had to go through a process of essentially creating a new identity for myself. And that's the conversation that we're having today. And a lot of you during our panels today, there's some fear. There's some fear of, how do I show up? What will they say? Right? And essentially, I had to really create this new empowered identity, is what I refer to it, where I had to realize what's important to me, right? What's the impact that I'm here for, and really give myself permission to do it. In doing that, I had to go through a process of healing. Healing some of those limitations, some of those generational wounds of my family, of me. I had to really dig deep and find a way to honor that, process it, release it, so that I could embrace this new identity. As a result, I was able to fully embrace my passions, right? As a speaker, as an author, as a leader in the community of women. And this looks different for everyone, stepping into your empowered identity. But at the core, ladies, I truly believe that owning your empowered identity is the only way to heal your past, really build those deep relationships with your family, your loved ones, because you're showing up as your true self. That's how you can connect. That leads you to feeling fulfilled in your life. Okay? So, who's ready to dive into the principles? Okay, let's do it. So that was my personal journey. And looking back, as I started to step into my empowered identity and make my dreams come true, I started to realize that I wanted to share it. Because what do women do? We share it, right? There's a sale at Target. Hey, jeans are on sale. Somebody, I don't know who mentioned my earrings today. What did I say? Kohl's, go get it. Right? We want to share, and that's how I started, is I wanted to share how I was able to do it. And so looking back at my journey, there's 4 principles that have been sort of the blueprint, okay? The first one, and this is the one that's the most, really it's foundational, is show up for yourself. Ladies, I can't stress this enough of how you must close the gap between what you're doing for others and what you're doing for yourself. Okay? Some of the rules that you have from generations, right? From other women in your family, from the system that we live here, let's be honest, right? Mm-hmm. They're really leading you to have emotional deprivation. Okay? Imagine a bank account. There's 2 things that make a bank account work: withdrawals and deposits. What happens when there's too many withdrawals?
In the red. Deficit.
You're in the deficit. You're in the red, right? It's the same thing emotionally, ladies. You have all these withdrawals going out every day. We all heard, right? All the tons of things to do. What are the deposits like? When I talk to women, let's talk about the deposits, I get blank face. I'm not sure what I do for me. I think you were saying, right, that you got stuck in a place where it was like, wait a minute. Now I'll tell you this, women, I'm gonna say it, video here, women are superior to men, we know this, right? But we can learn a thing or two about men, and that is that they will keep their hobbies.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
They will keep their hobbies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As women, no. That's right. We give it all. We give it all. Okay, for the sake of the family, for the sake of the career. I usually refer to this as we turn in our I matter cards. Ooh. We turn them in, ladies. And that day when I came home from the walk, that night I was putting my daughter, to sleep. She was little. And I said to myself, the only way I will change this legacy of our family is if I lead the way. Because I don't know about you, if you have girls or boys or whatever, but I don't want my kids ever turning in their I matter card. Not for someone, not for a job, I get emotional because I just think, I love them so much. And to think that they would ever feel like they don't matter, it's almost painful. Wouldn't you agree? Mm-hmm. Yet we are doing that to ourselves. We're doing that to ourselves. So show up for yourself is the most important thing you can do. Now, I think I have to tell you something about this. You will feel guilty. 100% you're going to feel guilty because you've created these rules. These rules have been passed down to you that say that it's bad. It's bad that you're doing something for you. Because I'm going to tell you something. Saying yes to you means saying no to someone else. That's true. Okay? And so we have to know, and this is what I tell my clients all the time, if you're feeling guilty, we're going the right way. We're going the right way because we're breaking free from those limitations. So raise your hand if you still feel like some of the choices that you make, some of the decisions you make are still based on whether you feel guilty or not. Yeah, right? Yeah, some of them, right? Sometimes it's like, ugh, I have to say no to that person. And I really believe that if you want to be better at this one, is you want to make sure that you have something in place that keeps you accountable. This is why I created the Empowered Women's Academy, because women would come to see me and they would go back. And then what? You know what I mean? And so if you have something, I heard people hiring coaches, being part of a group. Why do we do that? Because we need accountability to continue to show up in this new identity. It's not enough to just desire it. It's not. We have to have systems in place that keep us showing up, because guess what? We're going to feel guilty. Okay? All right. The second one is release your past. Okay? Here's the thing. Did you know that 90% of your thoughts that you had today, you probably had 10 years ago? 90% of the thoughts you're having every day, you've had them all your life, pretty much. Okay? We all have a past. We can't go back and erase it. We can, right? And the chaos that you feel now is linked to your past. It's linked to your past because in right here, right now, probably most of you, you're not feeling anxious right now. You're just sitting here listening to me, right? But if you started to think about all the stuff, you probably would have some emotions come up, right? So a lot of the chaos that you're feeling and could be related to your past, not only necessarily traumas, but just like generational wounds from your family, how you grew up, the shoulds, the have-tos, all those things. And if we don't go through a process of healing those, we're going to continue to be stuck in this reactive model. What I call is you get triggered, right? Well, first let's start with the dream. You're like, oh, you know what? I'm going to start doing that. Yeah, I'm going to post every day on social media. I'm going to do that, right? I know a lot of you are leaving here like, tomorrow's the day. Okay, and we're like, yes, we're going to do that. Then you wake up, you look in the mirror, you're like, today's not the day. Today is not the day. I'm tired, your kid's crying, something else happened. Now you're triggered. Now you're having the worst day, right? So today's supposed to be posting day, but you know what? Not today. Not today, because now I've been triggered and now I'm just going into this reaction of turning off all the fires, right? Turning down all the fires. Like, okay, what needs my attention? And then 2 months from now, we meet and I'm like, hey, how's that social media? Well, I was gonna do it, right? The reason why is because once we get triggered and those old stories of I'm not good enough, I'm not perfect, I'm this, I'm that, start to kind of rise. And we fall into who we think we should be or we're not enough. You get the picture, right? So we have to do some healing. I want to share with you a story of one of my clients. Her name's Chrissy, and she was running a social media, talking about social media, business, and she really kind of had hit like a plateau. Her business wasn't growing, she was getting more frustrated, and she was like, I just don't know what to do. I'm posting, I'm doing all the things. I don't know why it's not working. And when we started to work together, we started to tap into some of her past. And Chrissy grew up in the foster care system. And she realized that she was holding on to a lot of shame, a lot of embarrassment. So that energy around her shame and embarrassment really was getting in the way of her showing up with authority in her business, right? So she really wasn't owning her power. Once we went through, I have a 4-step heal process that I take my clients through, which really identifies some of the mindset around it, but also just like body work, healing work. Once she went through that and was able to really release it, she went on with her business and she actually quadrupled her income. That is the power of healing and releasing your past stories. Okay, so if you feel stuck, if you feel like, man, I just can't break through, it might be time for you to really look at like, what is in your past that you're still holding on to, okay? So scale from 1 to 10, how much, and you can give me some numbers here, how much do you think that you fall into that, like your past pains are affecting you in the future, currently? Just 1 to 10, 10 is really high, 1 low. Anyone want to be a brave? 8?
It's up there.
Yeah, up there. Yeah. Yeah, when it happens to a lot of us. I know for me, that definitely was a triggering moment. I had to do some work, for sure. Okay, thanks ladies. Number 3 is own your identity. Okay, what I mean by this is, ladies, we have to take ownership of how we're showing up in our life. Now, well, some of us, I'm not gonna point fingers, maybe me, but some of us can be really used to saying like the economy, my husband, my kids, the community I live in, those friends I have, my parents. I mean, you know what I mean? Like we can really pull out that magnifying glass and we can start looking who is responsible for how we feel, how we're showing up, right? But it's time to put away the magnifying glass and it's time to pull out the mirror. And really ask yourself, what's not working? What is working? What do I want? Who do I want to be in this next season? When 6 years ago, I told you my little walk of changing my life, I had the realization that I wanted to be a public speaker. I always have wanted to be a public speaker. If you tell my grandfather, I mean, I love the spotlight, okay? So I always wanted to be a public speaker. And you might not know this, but Spanish is my first language. And somewhere along my journey, somebody told me, I don't know if I just, whatever, I started to think that because Spanish was my first language, I could not be a public speaker. Because I use the wrong words, I don't have the right grammar, I use, whatever. I don't speak perfect English, is what I thought to myself. And therefore, I was not speaking. I was behind a computer, coaching people on the phone, very privately. And I realized that that identity that I was holding on so tightly wasn't even mine. I never said I could not speak because I spoke Spanish. But somewhere along the line, we start to get messages from other people. and we start carrying it as our own. I want you to imagine if you're taking a family trip with your family, and you're the one walking through the airport with all the baggage. How fast are you going to get to the other side? Really slow, right? Because you're carrying all this emotional baggage from your family, from your generations, I don't know about you ladies, but I come from a long line of women who stayed quiet and self-sacrificed themselves. Okay? So owning your own identity is really about getting clear on what you want, not what the social media approval rate is, how many likes I get, who supports me. This vision that you guys have is yours, okay? No one will understand it. No one will understand why you want to stay up till whatever hour making sure that formula is perfect. No one will understand why I love to be in front of people talking, right? Like, this is my vision, that's your vision, right? So the only person that needs to support your vision is you. And you have to own it. And you gotta step into it. I always say, nothing happens in the waiting room. We've all been in waiting rooms. We hate them. So stop waiting, okay? So here's the thing, you have a choice, okay? You have a choice. You can continue maybe in this downward spiral of insecurity, self-doubt, sabotaging yourself, which I call the chaotic identity, right? Where we're always just blaming everybody else for us not being where we want to be. Or you can step into your empowered identity and really take ownership of how you want to show up. Not only that, ladies, there's a little piece that I'm about to tell you. You have to give yourself permission to do it. That's the missing piece, because a lot of us here have dreams. I think it was you that said, like, oh yeah, I have a lot of dreams. But this year, right, like, we have dreams, but we have to give ourselves permission to go for them. Who's with me so far? Okay. Who's ready to step into their empowered identity, actually? Yes, okay, I love it. Okay. The fourth one is follow an empowered formula. What I mean by this is, who used the GPS to get here today? Most of us, right? Why did we use the GPS? Why do you use it?
You're afraid you're gonna get lost.
You're not gonna get lost.
Unfamiliar territory.
Unfamiliar. It's easier and faster, right? I mean, I could probably figure out where this was because I knew it was somewhere in downtown McKinney, but why waste time? I could just put on the address and get here, right? So why are we winging it with our emotional health? Because a lot of us are like, today I hope I feel better. You know? Today is gonna be a better day. But we continue to do the same things. We don't do anything else except close our eyes and pray. Now, I'm not against prayer, but we do actually have to show up.
Yeah.
Right? We still have free will, right? So we have to stop really winging it, and you have to follow a proven formula. Now, I've already heard a few of you have coaches and things like that, and definitely I always have a coach. I am my worst critic. I can get in my way really quick, okay? So if you don't have any accountability, any support, any groups like this, anything that's really keeping you like, hey, remember, like, we're still showing up, even if we're afraid, even if we're secure, even if we don't know the answers, we'll find them. Like, if you don't have that in place, you're gonna continue to wing it, and we already know how that's gonna turn out. Next year, we're gonna have the same conversation, right? Okay, so let's review, okay? 4 principles. We gotta show up for ourselves, right? Who's ready to show up for themselves? Yes, okay. We gotta release our past. Now this one gets a little bit more of people are like, oh, I don't know if I want to deal with my past. But who's ready to let go of some stuff that's not working for them? Yeah, okay. Number 3 is own your own identity. Who's really ready to step into that empowered identity? I want to hear a yes.
Yes.
Yes. And then 4 is follow an empowered formula. Get some help. We're not supposed to do it all on our own, ladies. Contrary to our belief, we're supposed to do it in community. We're supposed to help people as they help us, right? Because we're here to serve, and we're like, yes, I'm a servant. Then you're like, oh, but you need help. No, not me. Right? I hear some people relating to that. Okay, so 3 things you can do. I know we're all ready for lunch, but 3 things. Just get your paper. I always like to give you guys 3 action items. First thing, okay? What is something you want to achieve? Don't think about it. Just write it down. Second thing, what's something you're gonna let go of? Behavior, thinking pattern, people. What's something you're gonna let go of? And number 3, I wanna encourage you to share it during lunch. Share it with someone, claim it, step into it. One of the things I didn't mention, I'll mention it here. When I decided that I was gonna be a speaker, I reached out to one of my coaches and I said, okay, I think I'm ready to step into the stage. And I said, now, how do I become a speaker? I was expecting like this, step by step, step 1, here's what I do. And he said, you say you're a speaker. I was like, oh, well, done. And the reality is that, yes, we just have to claim it. The only person that's not believing it is you. We just have to claim it. So in closing, ladies, I want to take you through a little bit of imagery because I want you to really connect with this empowered identity, because we're going to go into the real world, ladies. Danger ahead, okay? So I want you to think of, just imagine yourself 3 to 6 months from now, okay? And you're feeling different. You've done some work. You're like, yeah, I feel empowered. You're interacting with your family differently. You're taking things differently. The world looks different, okay? I want you to ask yourself, why? Why is that important to you? Because you have to have a why, ladies. You have to connect it and anchor it to something bigger, right? And even if you don't know exactly like, what's my why, what's my motivator, you have a sense of it, or else you wouldn't be here today. You're on a level up conference, you showed up. So there is something in you that's saying like, it's time, okay? And I want you to really think of, why am I going to be the one to really take action? Because do you know that when people attend events like this, only 2% go and do something about it. So why are you going to be that 2%? Why now? Not 3 months from now, not next year, but right now. Why do you need to, as you leave here, step into that empowered identity and really create the life that you want, where you feel fulfilled? That's the question. Because you showed up here for a reason, and your time is now. Ladies, you've been a wonderful audience. Thank you so much.
All right, guys. Okay. Who's joining us for lunch? Stay for lunch. Okay.